Hello, everybody. This is Joe from PrepAgent. Happy to see everybody's here. So we all ready to go? Hello, everybody. This is Joe. Oh, got an echo. Okay, if you're ready to go, give me a thumbs up. Okay, refresh your screen. It'll be good to go. In 1 second, and I will just try and fix things. All right, so we're talking about fair housing. Who knows what year fair housing was enacted? Okay, 1968. 1968. Good. What are some examples of fair housing violations? What are some examples of fair housing violations? Okay, Monica says steering and blockbusting. Good, Monica. Okay, so steering is when you're working with buyers and you're saying you should buy a house because you're one of those people, so you should buy a house over there. Blockbusting is when you're trying to solicit listings by saying they are trying to list the house. You better list your house because those people are moving to town and you don't want to live by those people. Okay, so that would be blockbusting. If your screen is blurry, change it to 720 HD. If the screen is blurry, good. So you have redlining, blockbusting, steering. I don't think I've talked about redlining yet. That has to do with doing a loan. When there's certain people in a certain area and the lenders don't want to lend to those people because those people are of a certain ethnicity, they refuse to do the loan. That is redlining and is illegal. That is also a fair housing violation. All right. When a situation is such that damages would not provide an adequate remedy, in the case of a breach of contract, a suit for specific performance could successfully be brought by all the following except A, the seller of a condominium, B, a licensed real estate broker acting as an agent for the principals, C, one of the principals being represented by an attorney in fact, or D, the buyer of an income property. What do you guys think? Okay, the answer is B. That's correct, Lisa. Brokers cannot sue for specific performance. Brokers sue for money. When a real estate agent acts exclusively as a buyer's agent, he can A. Present offers to a family member for the seller, B. Present offers to the seller and the seller's agent, C. Present offers based upon what the other buyers have offered, or D. Present offers to the seller. Sure, Yash. Just let me know what you'd like me to explain, and I'll do my best to explain whatever you need. Okay, the answer for this one is B. Present offers to the seller and the seller's agent. Yes, Blanca, I could reread. The buyer's earnest money deposit may be A. A promissory note, B. Anything of value, C. A post-dated check, D. Anything the buyer considers valuable. Now I'll read it again. The buyer's earnest money deposit may be A. A promissory note, B. Anything of value, C. A post-dated check, or D. Anything the buyer considers valuable. And the answer is B. Anything of value. Do you guys know what the earnest money deposit is? What's the earnest money deposit? Who knows what that is? Also known as a good faith deposit. What do you guys think? All right, so earnest money deposit is that thing to show that you're serious about your offer. It's your commitment, and if you do not follow through with the deal, you lose that deposit. So it shows you're serious, shows a commitment, and that's an earnest money deposit. It's not the same as a down payment, although it can go towards that down payment when the deal is done. Okay. Next question. Two brokers decide to list a property together and agree to split the commission 50-50. One broker finds the buyer and then refuses to share the commission in the event of an occurrence of the nature an action should be filed. A. With a civil and criminal court. B. With the Department of Real Estate and in a civil court. C. With the Department of Real Estate. Or D. In a civil court. Okay, I'll read it again. The broker decides to list a property together and agree to split the commission 50-50. One broker finds the buyer and then refuses to share the commission. In the event of an occurrence of this nature, an action should be filed A. With civil and criminal court, B. With the Department of Real Estate and civil court, C. With the Department of Real Estate, or D. In a civil court. Okay, this is in a civil court because this is not really a real estate issue. Although they are real estate brokers, this is not a real estate issue. This is an issue over payment. If you guys ever watch Judge Judy, you know when you deal with this kind of stuff, you go to a civil court. Okay, so we're talking about sharing money and payment and business dealings. Where if it was a real estate issue, okay, then you probably go to the Department of Real Estate. Has everybody got that? Right, got it. Like I said, although they are dealing with real estate, it's not really a real estate issue. It's an issue about agreements between money. Which of the following is not required to create a lease for more than 1 year? A, the amount of rent and the method of payment. B, lessor and lessee must both sign it always. C, it must be in writing. D, a termination date. Now I'll repeat this. Which of the following is not required to create a lease for more than 1 year? A, the amount of rent and the method of payment. B, lessor and lessee must both sign it always. C, it must be in writing. Or D, a termination date. Okay, and the answer here is B, lessor and lessee must both always sign it. Okay, Yash says, what things should go in the real estate department? Things like that is more like real estate violations, like if an agent misrepresents himself or, commits a dual agency without disclosing it, or when it's not legal in that state, things of that nature. Okay, now if this was under a year, it would not necessarily need to be signed. But the statute of fraud says a lease over a year must be signed. That's right, Amira. And Monica, if it's under a year, then it could be enforceable. Now, the further details on this, obviously we're not lawyers, so we don't know the exact details of this. We know what you need to know for the exam, and that's what you need to know for the exam. Under a year does not need to be signed. Over a year, it does. Okay. Remember, don't overanalyze everything. Who here is guilty of overanalyzing or overthinking stuff? A lot of you guys see stuff that you're learning for the real estate exam, and you kind of think about it a little more than probably necessary, and ends up causing a lot of confusion. Where right now, we just want to pass. We want to get that surface level information done. Then after you pass, and this comes up in a real life situation, you can look in more detail about it. You don't want to be one of those overanalyzers. I always say nail down the foundation of everything before you get into the details. Okay. I mean, you guys look at those issues and go, but what if this? What about that? And what if this happens? And if this happens, then wouldn't that happen? That kind of thinking will drive you crazy. And unfortunately, very often will lead you to incorrect answers on your exam because you're looking up scenarios and details that may not be relevant to what you need to know at that time. So just to clarify, Melissa, yes, leases under a year do not need to be signed. And my point is, there's a lot more details with that of why it doesn't need to be signed and all that other kind of stuff and how it actually works in actual practice. But we don't want to think too much about that because that'll cause a lot of confusion. So for right now, just keep it simple. That under a year does not need to be signed. Over a year it does. That's because of the statute of frauds. Then after you pass and you get a tenant actually in that issue, you learn more details about that. Sound good? Thumbs up if that sounds good. Okay, let's go to the next question. All right. A neighborhood is predominantly white while adjoining neighbors has recently experienced an influx of homeowners from another ethnic group. A real estate salesperson begins canvassing the white neighborhood, telling people they should sell now because the minorities will soon be moving in and property values could drop. Which of the following violation is that person guilty of? A. Panic peddling. B. Steering. C. Panic peddling or blockbusting. Or D. Blockbusting. And I'll read that again. A neighborhood is predominantly white while an adjoining neighborhood has recently experienced an influx of homeowners from another ethnic group. A real estate salesperson begins canvassing the white neighborhood, telling people that they should sell now because the minorities will soon be moving in and property values could drop. Which of the following violation is that person guilty of? A. Panic peddling. B. Steering. C. Panic peddling and or blockbusting. Or D. Blockbusting. Okay, the answer is C. Panic peddling or blockbusting. Panic peddling, blockbusting, and panic selling are the same thing. Much like what I was saying before, there are details to the difference between the three that you may need to know if you actually get involved in this as you're practicing real estate. But on the surface level, and as per what you need to know for the exam, panic peddling, blockbusting, panic selling are the same thing. They are all just a method of inducing people to list their home by using discriminatory practices of telling people that those people are moving to town, you better sell. Okay. In one of her weekly sales meetings, broker Elizabeth Johnson made the following two statements to her sales staff. We're going to solicit listings in the Rancho Los Cabos neighborhood because a large number of Black and Asian buyers are moving in. Number two, only speak to the white homeowners because the others have only recently moved in and won't be interested in selling. Which, if either of these statements, is legal? The answer is number one is legal, but number two is illegal. B, both number one and number two are legal if the part of the conversation is kept within firm and do not discuss publicly. C, number one is illegal, but number two is illegal. Or D, both number one and number two are illegal. Okay, and I'll read it again. In one of her weekly sales meetings, broker Elizabeth Johnson made the following two statements to her sales staff. One, we're going to solicit listings in the Rancho Los Cabos neighborhood because a large number of Black and Asian buyers moving in. Two, only speak to white homeowners because the others have only recently moved in and won't be interested in selling. Which, if either of these statements, is legal? Okay, and the answer is D. Both number one and number two are illegal. Okay, next question. Salesperson Andrew receives an offer to purchase, which is accompanied by a $2,000 earnest money deposit in the form of a personal note. Which is true in this case? A, the offer should indicate that the deposit's in the form of a note. B, Andrew has breached his agent's duty to the seller. C, Andrew should return the note and ask the purchaser to give him a check for the same amount. Or D, the resulting contract will be voidable at the seller's option. What do you guys think? And the answer is A, the offer should indicate the deposit is in the form of a note. That's right, Monica. She's saying hello. She wants to participate in the webinar. How ambitious. Okay, blockbusting is best described as an attempt A, to form guerrilla bands to use violent action to integrate neighborhoods. B, by banks to refuse loans to homeowners in certain segments of the city. C, to panic a neighborhood into thinking property values will decline due to unwanted persons moving in. Or D, by insurance companies to refuse to issue homeowners policies to certain residents of the city. What do you guys think? And the answer is C. To panic a neighborhood into thinking property values will decline due to unwanted persons moving in. Just so everybody knows, tomorrow is a public webinar, so there'll be a lot of people online. So if you guys have friends you want to refer to it, let us show them the webinar tomorrow. We'll be welcoming them. These are premium webinars you guys are in now, but every once in a while we do a public one that's free for the public. That'll be there tomorrow. So just to give you guys that heads up that tomorrow the chat's going to be super crowded. So I want to give you guys that advance notice. We probably do that maybe once or twice a month. We don't do it very often. So if you guys have friends that you want to experience this webinar, tomorrow would be the day to do it. Kind of like invite your friends and family day to school. I said we only do that probably like once a month. And Alicia, that's correct. Tomorrow will be 4 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 7 o'clock East Coast time. And you guys do the math wherever you are in between. Okay. If a real estate licensee were trying to persuade people to list or to sell their property by telling them that members of another ethnic group were moving into their neighborhood, and it would be to their advantage to list or to sell, it would be an example of all the following except A, illegal conduct, B, duress, C, panic selling, or D, blockbusting. What do you guys think? If a real estate licensee were trying to persuade people to list or to sell their property by telling them that members of another ethnic group were moving to their neighborhood, and it would be to their advantage to list or to sell, it would be an example of all the following except A, illegal conduct, B, duress, C, panic selling, or D, blockbusting. And the answer is duress. Duress is putting pressure on somebody, which is bad, but it's not necessarily illegal, depending on what the type of the duress is. Regardless, it has nothing to do with discrimination. Panic selling, blockbusting do have to do with discrimination, and they are both illegal. Ooh, gotta find that word except, Monica. If you were put under duress, does that make the contract void or voidable? What do you guys think? If you were put under duress, does that make the contract void or voidable? What does that do to the contract? That makes it voidable. Good. Voidable. A licensed real estate person placed a blind ad in a local newspaper. A blind ad does not properly A, give the address of the property, B, identify the broker, C, identify the seller, or D, give the selling price. And the answer is B, identify the broker. Congratulations, Roy. We're very happy for you. Roy passed the Georgia real estate exam. Roy, it If you want to announce to the world that you are about to sell real estate in Georgia, please let us know. We'll set up a time, we'll do a video, and we'll tell everybody that you are ready to go. You could say where you're going to sell real estate, all that kind of good stuff. And you can take advantage of our subscribers on our YouTube channel. We only do that for our students. We don't do that for everybody. But just for everybody here, if you guys are a student of PrepAgent and you pass, we want to give you that bonus of trying to announce to the world that you have passed. And if you guys notice, we do have 70,000 subscribers. And so we will utilize that to help give you a little promotion as you get your career started. Kind of a little boost. And in case you guys don't know what this does, it doesn't just promote you to all our subscribers. It also gets you higher rankings on the search engines, because you're taking advantage of a YouTube channel that already has a high ranking. So by you going on that channel, your rankings will go up and you'll get found easier through searches without boring you the details about how online marketing works. Just trust me, it's a good thing. And it's free, take you a few minutes, and we'll get it done. So I extend that invitation to Roy and the rest of you guys after you pass. Remember what I said to you guys, after you pass, don't forget to have your party. You guys should have a party after you pass, announcing to your community that you are a real estate agent. Have a I passed party. So the moment you pass, have a party that next weekend. Don't drink too much at that party, but you should have a party with all of your information, your flyers there. Invite everybody in your community to have a good time. It'll be a good way to announce to everybody in your community that you are now a real estate agent in the town. What do you guys think? Good idea or bad idea? I think it's a good idea. Have a barbecue, picnic, whatever it is. But you guys all should have a big event after you pass and invite everybody in your community. That's a no-brainer. All right, here we go. Caroline Martin assures real estate salesperson Abby Benton that the home she's selling has hardwood floors throughout. This appears to be true since it is exposed in all the rooms but 2 of the bedrooms, which have wall-to-wall carpeting. Abby passes the assurance on to buyers who later discover that neither of the bedrooms has hardwood. What, if anything, is Abby guilty of? A, she's guilty of fraud. B, she's not guilty of anything since she relied on the owner's assurance. C, she's guilty of misrepresentation. Or D, she's guilty of commission. I'll read it again. Caroline Martin assures real estate salesperson Abby Benton that the home she's selling has hardwood floors throughout. This appears to be true since it is exposed in all the rooms but 2 of the bedrooms, which have wall-to-wall carpeting. Abby passes the assurances on to buyers who later discovered that neither of the bedrooms has hardwood. What, if anything, is Abby guilty of? A, she's guilty of fraud. B, she's not guilty of anything since she relied on the owner's assurance. C, she's guilty of misrepresentation. Or D, she's guilty of commission. And the answer is C, she's guilty of commission. She's guilty of misrepresentation. Sorry. I can't read. Okay. A listing broker signed a sales contract on a house. The broker then noticed a crumbling wall in the basement. Which of the following should the broker inform about the wall? A, both the buyer and seller. B, the seller only. C, buyer, seller, and mortgage company. Or D, buyer only. And I'll read it again for you guys. A listing broker had signed a sales contract on a house. The broker then noticed a crumbling wall in the basement. Which of the following should the broker inform about the wall? A, buyer and seller. B, seller only. C, buyer, seller, and mortgage company. Or D, buyer only. And the answer is A, both buyer and seller. Alicia mentioned material fact. That's right, Alicia. It's a material fact. Do you guys know what a material fact is? So, material fact is anything that's easily noticeable by the agent that you don't need to be an inspector to know. You don't need to have some advanced degree to know. It's something that's easily visible and therefore should be disclosed. Okay, now one thing I want you guys to realize, the material fact here is that the brokers noticed crumbling wall in the basement. When you disclose that as an agent, you say there's crumbling wall in the basement. You do not diagnose it. You do not say it's because of earthquake or foundation issues or things of that nature. When you start doing that, you are creating a violation because you're not licensed to do that. That's the inspector's job or the construction person's job or whoever else is licensed to do that. You just describe what you see. For example, if the door's not shutting properly, you do not say the door's not shutting properly because of foundation issues, even though many of us know that when a door doesn't shut properly, very often it's because there's foundation problems in the house. And that causes the door to kind of be a little off. But you don't say that as an agent because you're not licensed to diagnose things like that. Everybody get that? So the material fact is just what you see. That's correct, Ann. We're not inspectors. Which requires that reasonable accommodations be made in public? A, American with Disabilities Act. B, Equal Opportunity Act. C, Civil Rights Act. Or D, Fair Housing Act. Now I'll read it again. Which act requires that reasonable accommodations be made in public? A, American with Disabilities Act. B, Equal Opportunity Act. C, Civil Rights Act. Or D, Fair Housing Act. And the answer is American with Disabilities Act. That act is why you have handrails and ramps, things that make public buildings accessible to the entire public. All right, guys, that's it for today. Remember, tomorrow we got a public webinar, so there'll be a lot of people here. So I just want to give you guys that heads up. So if you don't want to attend tomorrow, I understand, but obviously I'd love to have you. And if you want to invite friends, just forward them to the YouTube channel. And we will do that tomorrow. Like I said, we don't do that often. Probably do it about once a month. I don't think we've done that for about a month. So we do these premium webinars every day for you guys, but once a month we'll do it for the public. So we will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern Time.